The price of Bitcoin is currently $25,996 as it encroaches on breaking that $26,000 range and returns to trading bullish. Today, in 1 hour's time, on my main channel, I will be going live talking about the Federal Reserve rate hike, which is about to be released. Now, the question is it going to come in at 0%? Because I really hope it does. If it comes in at a 0.25% rate hike, this next time round, the entire market is going to kick off. And let me explain what that looks like. That looks like $20,000 Bitcoin. That looks like mass liquidations. That is not a scenario we want to consider right now. Because if the Federal Reserve raises rates this time round, the entire market is going to kick off. Because it's not expected at all. If they reduce rates, again, not expected. The price of Bitcoin is going to go scatty to the moon. The real question, as is expected, that there will be no rate hike, as there is no need for a rate hike right now, given the CPI inflation data that was released just yesterday. It all depends on Jerome Powell's narrative. Now, Jerome Powell is going to go on this live stream, and that's what I'm going to be live streaming, and we're going to be watching the price of Bitcoin at the same time. I'm currently $1 million long on the price of Bitcoin. That might backfire horrendously. So if you want to watch me either make a bunch of money or lose a bunch of money, one of the two is going to happen, and it's going to happen on a live stream in just an hour's time. So it's definitely worth checking out. Either way, the other thing to be considering right now is the US House Committee has debated the future of crypto. New legislation is being drafted by July. They're not just accepting what Gary Gensler is saying. They are going to talk about this, and we are going to have a proper discussion in the US government right now whether what Gary Gensler is doing is right or wrong. Because Gary Gensler is taking it upon himself to regulate the crypto space rather than allowing us to regulate it, rather than allowing regulators to regulate it. The SEC is coming in with lawsuits and doing its own regulation, and that is very, very frowned upon and looked badly upon within government circles. So that's also particularly interesting. Now, today we are going to discuss the price of Bitcoin. We're going to discuss the two scenarios that are going to happen to the price of Bitcoin in today's video, given what happens with regards to the Federal Reserve rate hike. We're also going to discuss what's going to happen to the price of Ethereum and briefly touch on XRP and a little bit of crypto news for that matter. So if you are interested in that, do drop a like on today's video. It really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. And the more likes, the merrier. Again, if you don't normally like the videos, again, that's a huge boost. If you do normally, I mean, that's fantastic. Leave a comment down below whether or not you think the rate hike is going to be no rate hike. So comment no for no rate hike and comment 0.25 for 0.25% rate hike. I want to know which one is more common. We've got 1 hour. Let's go. Leave your comment in the comment section, and of course we'll all find out in just an hour's time. Either way, $25,982 is the current price of Bitcoin. As it sits right now, we need to break through $26,058 according to this chart right here. $26,058 is the level of which we need to break through. Now, failing to break through that level, and it's going to get volatile. Like, no doubt, Bitcoin always gets volatile during these periods of time. If I was to describe on a chart when Jerome Powell is going to start speaking, I would expect to see this. This is exactly what we're going to see when Jerome Powell starts speaking. It is going to look exactly like that. Don't expect anything else. Don't expect a quick shoot to the moon. Don't expect a quick drop to the floor. The question really on Jerome Powell and the scenarios that we can consider here is they're going to ask him what his plan is for July. Now, if Jerome refuses to write off another rate hike in July, then it's going to struggle. If Jerome doesn't, if he says that it's unlikely that we raise rates in July, because this is when it comes down to the question and answer period, and that's when you see Bitcoin's price reacting a lot. If he says in July, we don't really expect to have to raise rates again because the economy looks healthy, interest rates have been dropping, that is when Bitcoin will shoot to the moon. And so basically at this point in time, we could analyze Bitcoin until our eyes turn blue. But ultimately, the most likely scenario here is Jerome Powell's going to say something, and one of two things is going to happen. In terms of what we need to be watching right now are support and resistance levels. We have a very clear level of resistance currently sat here, as I explained, $26,058. The next clear level of resistance that Bitcoin needs to break through, which is one that I'm really hoping it breaks through, is $26,365. We break through $26,365 up here, we'll resume trading bullish again. Now, to look at how that would look on a slightly higher time frame, if we go up to the 1 hour, that would basically mean that Bitcoin resumes trading back in its previous trading range that it was in really not that long ago. To the downside, we're watching this level here at $25,779. If we break to the downside, that would confirm what is ultimately playing out currently as a bear flag. If that bear flag confirms, then we can expect a tremendous drop, and it will be horrendous. I will lose a bunch of money, and it will be very entertaining on the live stream. So it's definitely worth your time to check out, because what is that going to look like if we lose that level? Well, to be honest, what I'd be expecting is a drop back down to the lower level of support, all the way down here, potentially around a 7% drop to where this line would come down to, because that would be the logical level of support. That would take Bitcoin's price down to $24,000 and ultimately plunges back into some kind of bear market. Today's video is going to be, well, today's live stream is going to be one of a kind. It's going to be probably the most important Fed rate hike live stream for a while, because it's going to give us a very big clue as to how this year is going to end, whether it be bullish or bearish. Now, at the same time as that, it's also important to consider that Bitcoin is currently, from a fundamental point of view, looking very, very, very healthy. If we look at exchange reserves have started to rise again. That's good news. People have stopped withdrawing over the past 7 days. Again, there was a little bit of withdrawing this week, but overall it has slowed down. If you look at the SOPR ratio, which says that basically more investors are selling at a loss in the middle of a bear market, it can indicate a market bottom. If we look at the binary CCD, long-term holders movement in the last 7 days were lower than average, which means that people are not selling right now. If we look at the NUPL ratio, the NUPL is a really good indicator, saying that investors are in fear phase, which they are currently with unrealized profits that are slightly more than losses. Basically, this is looking pretty good, this is looking pretty good, this is looking pretty good. In terms of the pure multiple and the miners position index, most of them are miners are moderately selling and there is moderate revenue in the pure multiple. But overall, on-chain indicators suggest that Bitcoin is on the turn right now, and that is good to see. We like to see Bitcoin on the turn. We like to see things getting slightly healthier, but it all plays out when Jerome starts opening his mouth and starts saying either nice words and we'll like him and he'll be our best mate, or horrible words and then we won't like him and he will be the devil. Now, in terms of what's going on for Ethereum, well, it's very much a similar thing. I explained in yesterday's video we have a W reversal pattern forming on the bottom, but I'm just going to remove that pattern from the chart right now, and we're going to discuss looking at these levels right now. Important to point out, this is technically a bear pennant, and technically we should break to the downside. So it looks pretty horrendous right now. Also, another thing to point out right now would be the funding rates on crypto are quite negative. Now, being that they're quite negative, it means that more people are short than long. Also important to point out that when it comes to just the tokens themselves, like on Bitcoin, people aren't shorting to the same extent. People that trade tokens aren't shorting. People that trade US dollars are shorting. So potentially there could be a short squeeze on our hands right now, but that is all going to play out again during the course of today's live stream. Important that you watch it. Please go over to the main channel, which is That Martini Guy. Now, when it comes to the price of Ethereum, of course, key levels to watch on the price of Ethereum when Jerome Powell opens his mouth. Well, we've got a few different key levels to watch on Ethereum. The key one being we need to break to the upside of this pennant formation, and we can't lose the downside level of support. Now, the downside level of support is currently sitting, if I measure it here, at $1,722. That's where this line currently sits. To the upside, we need to first of all break through this level of resistance, which is at $1,747. Then, to the upside again, we also need to break through this level here at $1,753, which would then reset us, and then we'd likely come up and retest the underside of this previous trading range here around $1,782. This is all going to kick off. It's going to get wild. It's going to get mental. So please do go over, join me on my main channel right now, because as soon as you've watched this video, this live stream is starting. We'll be warming up for about 45 minutes, and then it's all going to kick off. In the meantime, I'm going to talk about altcoins, going to talk about a few other things. So make sure you do check that out. And I'll put a link in today's video description for those of you that are too lazy to just type in That Martini Guy on YouTube. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for watching. Drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you over on my live stream right now. Goodbye.